son is racing.
Welcome, race fans, to another episode of the Rubbin' Is Racing Daily Fantasy NASCAR Show. This week's race is at Watkins Glen for the Cheez-It 355 from the Glen. I know they're making me say the Glen multiple times this week. We have a repave, which means the Glen will be even more of a tricky road course than normal. After the debacle that was last weekend's race, shortened by rain and fog of all things, we're good to go this weekend as we can run in the rain at the Glen. So unless we get a Scooby-Doo-esque fog bank rolling in, we should be good to roll this weekend for the race. Liehr, go ahead and give us the rest of that sweet track breakdown this week, buddy.
All right. Track is 2.45 miles in length there at the Glen, 90 laps to complete the race. This road course is known as, obviously, we talked about the Glen. It's got 11 turns, both left and right. With the asphalt surface. This race is hard on the mechanics of the cars, a lot of shifting with the guys, and then also very, very hard on the brakes, specifically with the downshifting. So starts and restarts are going to be exciting here. This track can get up to 3 wide there going into the first turn. So there's going to be a lot of movement for positioning. But over time, they'll spread out during green flag racing. Teams can pit on green flag runs every 30 to about 32 laps here. So these teams will at least have, 2 to 3 stops during the duration of the race here. But since they started racing here, 33 total races, the average number of cautions is 4.8. But out of the last 10 races, so with all the changes that they've made with the cars, the tracks basically stayed the same. But the number of cautions the last 10 races is 7.2. So I fully expect that we're going to have some crashes. We're going to have more than probably, that 3 to 5 to maybe 6 amounts of cautions there. So strategy is going to come into play quite a bit, and teams are going to have to decide on what they're going to do. But a lot of these teams are going to get bold this week, boys and girls. With only 5 races left to get to the chase, I mean, there's going to be some really, really bold calls starting to have to be made. So, but the race is going to be on Sunday, August the 7th at 2:30 p.m. Eastern on USA Network. Mm-hmm. That's right, not NBCSN, not ESPN, not Fox, not any of them. It's USA.
No, it's USA because we got the Olympics, baby. Hashtag Team USA, getting it done in Rio. It's Olympics time, and NBC has all the Olympics coverage. That's why they're using their sister station in USA to give us the coverage.
That's right. But as far as the weather, we've got 84 degrees, mostly sunny skies, 10% chance of rain with wind northwest at 12 miles an hour. Just a quick note, I hope you guys all watched the show last week because yours truly called the Chris Buescher play. I know that it wasn't because of that he actually went out and finished the race in first. But hey, it still counts, right? So he still won the race. But let's get it done, boys.
It definitely still hit my pocketbook and my bankroll. We'll put it that way. Adrian, I think it's time to let you talk a little bit. Let's get into the Burning Rubber segment. Liehr?
Burning Rubber, baby!
All right, Adrian, since you weren't here last week, man, I'm expecting sweet things from you. Go ahead and razzle-dazzle us.
Oh, yeah, I got a lot to talk about this week, guys. As you know, the road course races are my favorite races on the schedule. Just quickly on the race being on USA, doesn't it make more sense for the race to be on NBC and, promote the brand of the United States by putting the Olympics on Channel USA? I'm not the guy who makes those decisions. But this week for my Burning Rubber, I actually have a twofer for you guys. So settle in because I have a lot of information for you to digest here. But it's starting off with Kyle Busch, guys. No one is surprised that I'm telling you to pick Kyle Busch. He has 2 wins at Watkins Glen. He has 9 top 10s and 11 starts at Watkins Glen. Just watching the first and second practices, he was top 5 in both of those, showing that team has speed out of the gate this weekend. He's led laps in 6 of his 11 starts at Watkins Glen, And with it being, such a short race, those laps are very hard to come by. In my opinion, Kyle Busch is at the top of the JGR stack. With his talent and the speed that Toyota has, I just think he's going to be so hard to beat on Sunday. When you look at the two most valuable abilities for a driver to possess to really be successful in this day and age NASCAR, it all comes down to restarts and navigating lap traffic. And Kyle is at the top in both categories, and no one is even close to him. Just as far as quality passes, Kyle Busch it's so crazy how he knows how to set guys up. And it's going to be a strategy race, like Jamie said. Adam Stevens is going to try to nail the strategy, and he's done it before, and look for him to do it again this weekend. I think Kyle Busch is going to fight for position in the top 3 throughout the race, while getting laps. And I think he's going to take home the win. But a guy battling for the win is my other burning rubber pick, and it's Brad Keselowski, guys. You're probably thinking that, Brad Keselowski, he's not that good of a road course racer, but it's surprising how good he has top 5 finishes in 3 of his 6 starts at Watkins Glen. He has the top 10 in 4 of his 6 starts. And guys, that includes runner-up finishes in 3 straight races: 2011, 2012, and 2013. Looking back to the Goodyear tire test, Brad set the fastest time in the session before he went into turn 1 and lost the brakes and destroyed his car. I feel like Brad, kind of wants revenge on this track and this weekend. Brad's one of those guys who really gets motivated by these kind of things, and people put pressure on him. He seems to come through in those situations. It's hard to think a guy in the chase could come in with a chip on his shoulder, but for some reason, Brad seems like he has that, and he's just that type of driver to me. It's just something about the character he has. Also, just like I said with Adam Stevens, Paul Wolfe is going to try to get that 2 car on a different strategy than everyone else. If they don't qualify well, look for that car to be on a different strategy. When the leaders pit, Brad Keselowski will be racking up the lap sled because for some reason, Brad Keselowski always lead laps because Paul Wolfe just keeps him out there when everyone else is there. And I'm fine with taking those lap sled because Brad's going to come back and finish in the top 5. I just think it's a weekend where Brad finishes in the top 5. He's had such a good summer. They've gotten off a little bit the past couple of weekends, finishing 15th. This is a good weekend for Brad Keselowski, and I'm going to have Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski on every single lineup this weekend. That was a lot to digest, but break that down a little bit for us, guys.
Man, how do I follow that? As far as the Kyle Busch play, he definitely, out of the whole 11 races that he's been here at Watkins Glen, there's only been 2 times where he's started above the 11th position. So he always qualifies really, really high here at Watkins Glen. So that he's going to come out and he's going to perform, especially too after having kind of a semi week last week at Pocono, starting from the 16th position. But it's really going to hinder on where he qualifies at. But I still think even if he does qualify outside that top 10, he's definitely going to be in position to move up in that Snickers Crispy vehicle. So, as far as Brad Keselowski, that number 2 Ford Miller Lite team has just been on fire this year. It definitely got a chance to take home the Sprint Cup championship this season. And I don't know what it is about Keselowski, but regardless of the kind of type track that we've been racing on, he always seems to find himself up there at the front. And, that team has just been on point all year. And when it comes to their price points, it's not too often that you get a guy of Keselowski's caliber at $9,300. So, but the other crazy part about Keselowski is he's only raced here 6 times, but 50% of the time, so 3 times he's gotten the top 5 finish. So, he really knows him and Joey Logano. Actually, Logano starting tomorrow on the Xfinity Series from the pole. But those 2 guys for Penske, don't sleep on them at all this weekend.
Yeah, no, you're going to hear a similar theme for us, I think, throughout the show. We're all on board of JGR and Penske this weekend, and there's reasons why. I know Kyle's not in the M&M's car, he's in the Snickers car, so I'll give it a little flip. But, guys, at his price tag in that car, that you just can't go wrong, and he's just the right play. As far as the Keselowski play, oh, yeah, switching that one up, too, busting it out.
Nice, dude. Nice.
It's just the right play
Both
as well.
of you guys.
Literally, these plays were both plays that I had in contention. They're both guys that I've ranked high and guys that I'm building lineups around. and I'm not 100% on that core, but I am 100% on using them in almost all my lineups. Like I just love those guys this week and love the variations there. Liehr, who do you got for us to burn some rubber now that we got Adrian's twofer out of the way?
My guy this week for burning rubber is somebody that has been just on point the last couple of weeks. And him and his team are really starting to fight to keep that last position there into the Sprint Cup chase. But going with the number 42, Kyle Larson, he's been doing some really good things as of late the last few weeks. He started 10th and 11th, and with finishes of 5th and 6th. He scored 43 points a couple weeks ago and 53 points last week with 37 laps led at Pocono. Larson's raced here twice in the Sprint Cup Series with starts of 23rd and 6th and finishes of 4th and 12th last season. He's, getting some experience on these, race road courses here, and depending on where they qualifies at and how he looks at practices. But the first practice today and the second practice, first one, he was second. He was 10th fastest, and then in the second practice, he was 12th fastest. So he's going to be right up there, in the top, 8 to 12, somewhere in there, probably for qualifying. But the best part about Larson this weekend is his cost. He's only $8,200, which gives you the type of driver that you can win with at a medium, value. He can return up to at least 7 times his salary with, getting points up in that 50, 60, maybe even 70-point range. But with the momentum the team has been building up these last couple races, they're trying to lock up their spot, in that Sprint Cup chase. So with 5 races to go, I look for them to basically go all out this weekend and try to lock up that spot by getting the win. And I promise you, play him in your lineups this weekend. He's not going to disappoint you, and he's definitely going to be worth his salary, and he's going to be one of those guys who're going to have to take down that GPP.
Yeah, Kyle Larson's price tag at 82 is just extremely sexy. The problem I had is that he spun out going into turn 1 in practice 2, and I mean he was still running good afterwards, but I'm just he might be a little too aggressive going into some turns, and that might be a play that I don't want to be all in on. But that price tag, he's just in that range where I can fit every driver I want around him and not have any issues whatsoever. And that's why I really like the Larson play. Plus his track history here, even in the limited history it is solid, and it's just a play you end up wanting to make. So, Adrian, what are your thoughts, bud?
I tell you what, the fact that he spun the car out makes me want to play him even more because that means that boy's driving. I don't know, man. Kyle Larson he's from that style, man. It's just like where you just keep the car on the edge, man. And that's what you have to do. There's just something about Kyle Larson at road courses and the finesse you have to have. It's equivalent to the finesse you have to have trying to get a dirt car through the corner, turning left and right throughout the corner. I don't know. Kyle Larson's he's really adapted to these road course racing. I don't know. Kyle Larson is going to be on a lot of my lineups. If Jamie didn't pick him, I was probably going to pick him. I just love the play. Kyle Larson is one of my projected guys to finish inside the top 5, if not top 7. I definitely see him finishing 7th or better. Kyle Larson's got a lot of speed. I don't know if a lot of people have seen it yet.
Well, for all
the other crazy part too, though, don't forget today that Old Smoke number 14 got a little pissed off at him for when they were going out for the practices, and he was trying to warm up the tires, and Smoke kind of got up and close to him after they got started there because Larson wasn't up to speed, and then Smoke got in his face in the garage. So hopefully that fires Larson up, but I'm just hoping that doesn't piss Tony off to where he does something stupid on Sunday and takes him out with fender to quarter panel action.
Tony needs to step aside and let the future come in.
Yeah, let the young gun do his thing.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point out, according to Adrian, you now have the top 3 plays of his lineups that he's already given you.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to give you the 4th one here in a minute. Hold on.
All right, man. Before we get there, though, I think it's time for my burning rubber pick, and it should surprise no one that I'm going with Cousin Carl. Now, I realize he doesn't have a win on this track, but he is a points machine at the Glen. In 11 races, he has 5 top 5s, 8 top 10s. he grades out statistically as the best driver here if you have a sample size of 3 races or more. The only one that actually grades out better than him is Larson in his 2 races. Cousin Carl doesn't have a win here yet, like I said earlier, but yet, as I believe is the key word, it could very well happen this week. That car is fast. All the JGR cars are fast. It's only a matter of time before he gets that win. If you look at his qualifying history here, Carl loves to underqualify on this track. He loves to sit in the teens and loves to race all the way up into the top 5 on a consistent basis. If he qualifies in the teens, mark it down right now. I'm telling you, he's a must play for DFS if he qualifies in the teens. If he qualifies higher than that, you might want to rein back the ownership percentages a little bit, but I really have this car being a top 5 car all day long. I love Cousin Carl this week, and you couldn't ask for a nicer guy to have that good of equipment and run top 5. Adrian?
Yeah, what are those loyalty checks looking like that Carl Edwards is sending you to pick them every week?
Hey, dude, I'm just hoping JGR will start sending me some hats.
Yeah, well, it looks like you got plenty of hats. But no, I really I like Carl Edwards. I like the speed that he's shown. At road courses so far this year, and something about that Stanley car, guys. Whenever he runs that car, he seems to perform very well. I think that this weekend is a chance that Carl is gonna, if he's gonna win, it's gonna be on strategy. I don't think that he can get up there and he can't beat Brad Keselowski and Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick and those guys like that. But you're right. If he qualifies outside the top 15, he's going to finish, 5th or 6th probably just because it's JGR equipment and Carl can take care of a race car. If you know, the last time Carl Edwards ran an Xfinity car, it was actually at Watkins Glen and he won in the 60 car, which, as a side note, Trevor Bayne is running that same 60 car at Watkins Glen tomorrow, so look forward to that. But yeah, Carl Edwards is in JGR equipment. He's a little pricey. There's a lot of guys that I can play under him. The qualifying is going to tell a lot, and Carl can definitely take care of a race car. Here lately, man, I just don't want my guys to wreck, and Carl has been wrecking a lot.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. The thing with Carl Edwards is, he's just kind of like Kyle Busch, where he's a real streaky driver. He goes on a real hot run, and then he cools off and then stays in that cooled off period for a little while. So I know he was my going to the garage guy last week, and he only had 31 fantasy points. But, this week, I'm right there with Poppa. I really think that Cousin Carl's got a great chance, depending on where he qualifies at. Obviously, that's the most important because that's where we start, making our decisions. But, he does have some really good history here of starting in the teens and early 20s and even one start in the 30s where he, got all the way up to the front. He's only got, out of 11 races, he's got 3 races where he finished in the teens, and everything else he finished in the single digits. So it's all going to hinder on, what the strategy is going to be. And then also, too, if he can avoid the wreck, because, that's going to be the biggest thing here. And you know how Carl can get a little aggressive at sometimes when it comes to these road courses. I don't know if you guys remember, was it a couple years ago where him and Matt Kenseth got together and went into the wall, and I think that might have been at Sonoma. But Carl does get a little aggressive here when it comes to the turns. So I don't know. I definitely like his results here at the Glen, but because it's really just going to, for me, it's going to depend on where he qualifies at. If he qualifies in the teens, I'm definitely going to be all over him. But if he qualifies pretty high, I'm probably going to stay off of him just because of his price point. And like you had stated, Adrian, there's other guys for $9,700 that I would feel a lot more comfortable putting my money on than Cousin Carl. So.
Yeah, but you're not going to get the low ownership you will on Cousin Carl. That's one of the reasons why I'm really advocating him this week. Adrian, I think now we're ready to hit the value plays. We've spent enough money. Let's see about spending a little bit more, but on the cheaper side a little bit. Adrian, who do you got for us value-wise this week, buddy?
Well, I'm not going to save you much money this week, but I believe the information here is solid, guys. So you're only going to get this here, but I'm going to give you some good information on Chase Elliott. I probably shouldn't do it, for my sake, so everyone doesn't play him. But here we go. The 24 team had an opportunity to participate in the Goodyear Tire Test at Watkins Glen a couple weeks back. And Chase said in his pre-race or his pre-weekend press conference at Watkins Glen this weekend, with that being the first laps he's ever had here in a Cup car, he said that really helped him, kind of adapt and figure out this racetrack and where his braking zones and everything, where all the general stuff you have to do if you're a rookie. And Chase said his team learned a lot of things that they can apply to this weekend to inevitably turn their season around. It's so funny though. After the test, it was Chase's first time in a Cup car at Watkins Glen. AJ Allmendinger told Parker Kligerman after the test that Chase Elliott was in another zip code compared to everybody else time-wise. He said that Chase was consistently just running a line that no one else could seem to keep up. And I think if a road course racer like AJ Allmendinger says something like that about a rookie in their first time in that kind of car, I think it means a lot. He has 2 Xfinity starts here, resulting in 2 top 10s. Like I said, there's not much track history here to try to convince everyone of this pick, because I hope that I'm the only one who picks him when he takes a top 10 home in the number 24 Sun Energy Chevrolet. Chase Elliott is going to turn his opinion around. I see him finishing about 8th or 9th this weekend, which I think is
I'm right there with you, man. I mean, when it comes to him, I mean, he's come back down to reality, because the last few, handful of races, he's been at a ridiculous amount of pricing, in the high 8s and then even the low 9s. And now he's kind of come back to reality where he should be with the equipment that he's in there with Hendrick. But do what?
Just said there goes gravity. You said back to reality.
But no, I definitely like to play this week. Like you said though, with a guy of AJ Allmendinger's caliber at these road courses, to give you a compliment like that, I mean that's huge. So I'll be right there with you, and hopefully the ownership percentage will be 0.02% of Chase Elliott this weekend when he does perform.
Yeah.
But I'm not really holding my hopes that will happen. But no, I'm going to have some exposure to Chase Elliott just because of his practice times too. I mean, he was consistently in the top 10 today during practice. So it's also going to where he depends on where he qualifies. But the last time he raced in that Sun Energy vehicle, and that paint scheme is just killer. And I love that.
So beautiful.
I love that paint scheme for him. But the last time he jacked it all up, wrecking. So I'm hoping that it's a different case this time, and that he can, actually, take it home and get a victory this week, and lock home his Chase, spot for the Chase, because right now he's in 13th, and it depends on where he does these last 5 races. I mean, he's either got to win one or stay right where he's at to make it. So it'd be pretty amazing for him to do that in his rookie season.
All right, guys, we've got to start calling him Elliott, because chase and the 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 chase. It's getting a little bit redundant. No, I'm just messing with you. I actually really like this play this week, guys. It's a smart play. His Xfinity Series history here is a little bit sketch, with one really poor performance and one good performance with good place differential. But it's all about whether or not you can think he can get it done in the Sprint Cup car this weekend, and the first time at this track in that car. Other than the test, I'll definitely be on Chase exposure. I just don't know how much of him I'll have. And the question is why I think it's a good play is because I think that's going to limit a lot of people's exposure to Chase. So if you're prepared to go all in on an unknown, do it. Like, this is a great spot to do it. Just know that's what you're doing, right? Like, know that you're kind of taking an unknown commodity here and you're going with it. But I have zero issues with that. Liehr, who do you got for us for value this week?
My value play this week, it's kind of hard for me to swallow and have these words come out of my mouth, but I mean, sometimes you just have to say it. But my sleeper value guy this week is Casey Mears. I know, I said it.
Yes.
It's Casey Mears.
Yes.
But basically, he's, this year, he's just completely been up and down, burned a lot of bridges with his fantasy owners this year. Casey hasn't really produced any real quality fantasy points since the Coke 0400, at least almost a month ago, at 42 points. This week his price is right where it should be, in the range of the 6K, but he's 6,600, and as of late, he's been 61, 62, 63. Well, there's a reason why he's up to 6,600 this week, and that's because Mears has not finished higher than 20th at the Glen since 2006. He's raced here 12 times with one top five back when he was with Chip Ganassi. But in his first practice today, he was third in practice, and then the second practice he was 18th. We've seen him from Casey at from some other tracks that he's been practicing where he'll have a really high practice time, be up there in the top five, and then the other practices he basically falls back to where he should be. But due to his price and his history here, he's definitely a play you want to be on. It also really depends on where he qualifies. If he qualifies in the top 10, it'll be a hard play to put him in there because he's not going to stay up in the top 10. There's just no way with all the guys that are available, the equipment that he's up against, and the team that he has, that he's just not going to stay in the top 10. But if he qualifies higher than 17th, because at that $6,600 price point, that gets you the ability to get you at least, if he gets a top 10 finish or 10 to 15, 5 to at least 10 times the salary for him, which would be huge. So he's definitely going to be a major GPP play this week. And I'd be a little more hesitant to play him in cash games this week. But as far as GPPs go, I definitely think Casey Mears is going to be a value guy this week for sure.
Yeah, dude, Casey Mears reminds me of being in a terrible relationship, right? Like, you can't ever do anything right. Like, and when you do something right, like, inside, like, then it's still not right. I feel that way when I have to roster or not roster Casey Mears every week. And that's the problem, because when you don't roster him, he performs and just goes ham and destroys your lineups. And when you do roster him, he has equipment malfunction, gets caught up in a wreck, or destroys your lineups. It's terrible. And maybe my fantasy fortitude isn't strong enough to handle Casey Mears anymore. Dude, I'm saying not play him, which means he probably will go ham and have a great day. But the second I tell you to play him, like, he'll lose a rear end, and there you go. We don't have any negative 30 points off the draw. I'm at a loss, just like I am in relationships that are bad. I don't even know how to address it. Adrian,
and at this week, it's going to be, and this is what happens with the other guys' brake pads.
Adrian, do you have any advice to get us out of this?
My rule for Casey Mears this week is if he qualifies 22nd or higher, meaning not inside the top all, then I'm going to play him a lot. And I was talking to Jamie before we started recording, and I thought Casey Mears was a great play. And if they would have let me have two value guys, I would have picked Casey as my other value guy. I mean, track history just shows that, he hasn't finished outside the top 20 in almost 10 years, guys. That probably means he's going to crash this weekend, but it also means that history shows he can finish inside the top 20. And Casey Mears, like you said, is just like Martin Truex Jr. is for me. The weeks I don't play him, he does what he did at the Coke 600. And the weeks I do play him, like last weekend when I was about 100% all in on him, he wasn't tired or whatever. But, Casey Mears is one of those place differential guys that you're putting in there at a low salary cost. Around the Casey Mears price point, you could also look at Trevor Bayne in that fresh baby blue hair paint scheme. Driving through really needs to push to get into the chase. So around that price point, where Casey Mears is, you're looking at a lot of guys like Casey Mears and Trevor Bayne and Eric Almirola. And you really got to look at who has the most on the line, and that's where I'm really kind of coming to. I feel like I might pick Trevor Bayne a lot more than I pick Casey Mears, but like I said, it's all going to come down to qualifying.
I just want to give you fair warning, dude. The Oracle, Jackson, Liehr's son, spoke and said that Bayne was not the play this week. So you do that on your own, on your own free will, man. The Oracle has spoken.
No, but on a quick side note, I am right there with you though, Adrian, because a lot of you guys out there, you're really going to have to look at these guys that have 5 races left to get their cars and their teams into this Sprint Cup chase. And there's going to be guys that are going to make some crazy calls and really put their cars on the line to get that win and get up there and get the points that they need to get into this chase. So there's going to be some crazy stuff that happens this weekend, I have a feeling.
Yep.
Yeah, and also these teams go through different development cycles. So rolling out their best and fastest equipment over these next couple weeks. These teams that are on the bubble. So look for those guys that are really fighting for a chase bid to be bringing a lot better stuff than maybe their teammates are.
Yeah. Guys, I'm moving us right along in value, and I'm going to give you a play that I think is an egregious price miscalculation from DraftKings, and that is Truex Jr. at 8,900, part of the JGR affiliated in the Furniture Row racing car. Like, it is just criminal underpricing. He was the fastest in both race trim and in qualifying trim. He was the fastest in practice 1. He was the fastest in practice 2. Well, and then Dinger actually beat him out and kind of messed up my narrative, but I wanted to include it anyway since I had it written in. This is me channeling my inner Rain Man here, as Truex doesn't have a win here, but I think Truex has the ability to get it done. And actually, the repave makes this a much more technical track than normal, and Truex excels on those technical style tracks, especially when he's in that fast of equipment. I think this is the week that you really want to saddle up on Truex. A lot of people probably won't because of his track history here. And at 8,900, especially if he qualifies on the pole, guys, he's going to be leading laps. He'll be the fastest car. You know that whoever does that traditionally gets 30-plus laps at this track before anybody even gets close to them. I love the Truex play, especially if he's sitting on the pole at 8,900. DraftKings just messed up on pricing. I'm going to have to play him at least 30% of the time.
Yeah, he really burned me last weekend, but I think I'm going to put a lot this weekend. He's just really fun this weekend, and he's shown he has a win at Sonoma. He's shown that he has the speed to get it done on these road courses if you give him the car to get it done. And Cole Perrin is a smart crew chief, and he will make the right calls in the box, whether it's a 2-stop race or a 3-stop race, to get him to where he needs to be. And like you said, whoever gets to the pole tomorrow, look out for that guy, because you're going to need to have a lot of exposure to the pole sitter, or maybe the person starting second if you don't think they'll get a good jump on the restart. Because if they get through turn 1 and up through the S's, they'll probably have about half a second lead by the time they get back to the start finish line, just through all the jostling and everything. And that'll lead to, like Poppa said, about 30 or 40 laps led. And if someone spins out, the caution's not going to come out. So they're going to keep racing if the guy can get it turned around. So look for less green flags or less yellow flags. And a lot more valuable restarts.
Yeah, I mean, you guys out there know that I picked my boy Truex Jr. last week as my burning rubber guy, and by gosh, he definitely did burn rubber on me because it totally blew up all my lineups because I was pretty much 100% exposed to him, and I mean, again, he's. Practice times, he's one of the faster cars. It seems like every single week, boys, he's always the guy that is up there when it comes to practice times. He's always the guy that's up there when it comes to qualifying. And then when something, except for, the Coca-Cola 600 this year, it's just been one of those that, and even at Kansas, he led all those laps and then something happened. And same thing last week. He led, the beginning part of the race and then, the valve stem went down.
He broke a shifter leading a couple weeks back.
Yeah, and I mean it's just one little thing after another that is just kind of taking him off that perch there. And I love him. My favorite driver on the circuit by far. And am I going to have exposure to him? Yeah, 8,900. That's a ridiculous price for Martin Truex Jr. I mean, of course he's a great road course racer too. I'm just worried, and I feel like I've just got a little bit of that burn going on that I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to go in on that, but it's going to be one of those where I'm going to play teams with him, going to play some teams without him, just because you got to have that safety net too. So, but I definitely love Martin Truex. I think he's going to have a fast car. Just crossing my fingers that he can keep the car on the track, not get involved in anything, and mechanically wise, not have any issues come up to where his car fails on him for some reason or another.
But see, guys, this is my point, right? Last week he was 50+% owned, literally doing the exact same thing. If we assume he's going to qualify 1, right? He's literally done the exact same thing he did last weekend. But because he burned everyone, you're going to see that ownership percentage almost halve. And that's if he qualifies 1. If he qualifies outside that, I think you're going to get even lower than 25%. And to get a guy that has been dominating races at the clip that he has been this season at sub 25%, that is just absurd in my opinion, especially at that price tag. I am like, if you wanted to take a stand this week and say you were all in on Truex, I would completely understand it. And I keep going back and forth. I might do it, to be honest.
Well, I think the only thing there is the $8,900 is going against you with your point there, because I think other people are going to see that and go, ooh, $8,900. That's an awesome price point for Martin Truex, especially where he's been at. But, you know, you're going to have the other people, like you just said, that felt burnt, you know, like I have, like I feel. So
Like
it's going to be it's going to be a mixed bag. I think I don't know what's going to happen.
No. All right. Well, we were spending a little bit more than usual in the value. So let's go ahead and get to everybody's favorite segment, the Go Into the Garage segment. This is where we like to talk trash on either drivers, on pricing, on the cars. Maybe we don't like the way the driver performs on the track. Maybe we just don't like the driver. Who knows? Adrian, start us off, buddy. Talk some trash on something.
Well, you would change into that hat right and get to the segment, wouldn't you, Poppa? My going to the garage play this week, guys, is Denny Hamlin driving the number 11 FedEx Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. I know you're thinking he's in the Joe Gibbs Toyota. Oh, they're the fastest cars. Well, let me tell you guys, I haven't played Denny Hamlin one time all season, and I've known. I think there's so many other guys because he qualifies so well. He's in the final. He's made the final round in qualifying every single race this season, guys. So that equates to Denny Hamlin probably going to qualify about 7th or 8th, and he's probably going to finish about 7th or 8th, and you're going to get about 40 points out of him because he doesn't lead laps, and he's going to finish in the top 10 probably. But I just don't think that's going to equate to any points when you have other guys who might lead laps or are coming from outside the top 15 or outside the top 20. And, you know, Denny Hamlin hasn't had that good of track history here at Watkins Glen. Since 2010, his finishes are 37th, 36th, 34th, 19th, 24th, and 27th. You know, Watkins Glen is only a 90-lap race, making place differential important. And, you know, like I said, with him qualifying inside the top 10, you know, almost every single race this year. At his price, I'm just playing Kyle Larson or we haven't really mentioned him, but Jeff Gordon, I really like Jeff Gordon if he doesn't qualify very well. And for some reason, that team just hasn't shown the, you know, straight speed, you know, raw speed to put a time on the board. So I think they might not qualify very well. And that could be a sneaky play. But, you know, it's just poor track history. Denny Hamlin's got a pretty hefty price tag for someone who doesn't have that great a track history, who overqualifies a lot of the time. You know, it's not a play. Is what I'm trying to say. I don't think it's not a play I find myself making. So I'm just saying that.
Well, I mean, as far as his price point, $8,400, that's pretty decent for a guy of his caliber and what equipment he's in. Because, you know, let's be honest, that's going to be the lowest JGR guy that you can get in that field. As far as Kenseth is 8,100, but still, I mean, either him or Matt Kenseth. I mean, to get them at the $8,100 price point, it's kind of crazy. But obviously, there's a reason for that. Is because, you know, this is just not his cup of tea here at the Glen. So, but I'm right there with you. I think that, you know, I don't know why they always qualify so high every single week, and then they just, you know, fall back into the field. And, you know, I saw something last week where Denny was talking about, you know, how they started the season winning the Daytona 500, and that they kind of already had that ticket to the chase, you know, in their pocket. They kind of coasted through the rest of the season. And now they feel like they're going to, you know, kind of pick it up and get their stuff together and get it right, you know, back on track to get them going for when the Sprint Cup chase starts. And it's like, dude, you can't do that. You gotta, you know, keep it going every single week. And we haven't seen it at all really from Denny this year. Even, you know, if he has a decent fantasy output this week, you know, between 40 to 50, 30, you know, 30 to 40, somewhere in there. That's just going to be average for somebody like that. And I just don't see it. I don't see it happening with him. I'm just like you. I see him starting in the top 10 and kind of fading into the back. So, but who knows? I mean, he was right there at the end of Sonoma. Him and Smoke were going for the win at Sonoma. So, am I going to have exposure to him? Yeah, I'll have a little bit of exposure to Denny, but I'm just not that confident in him to play him quite a bit.
Well, Adrian, I think your analysis is spot on here, but I actually disagree with you. I actually liked, because of your analysis, I actually liked Hamlin as a sleeper pick coming off of the Sonoma race and coming off of what he did here last year. Now, I know the result isn't what you wanted, but he was dominant through parts of that race, and that car was super fast till he had, not one, not two, but 3 different hood malfunctions, right, in the same race. Like, come on now. Like, there's such things as variance, and I'm going to say that, like, he's just prone to variance on this track, and, you know, that may be a reason to fade, but top-line equipment at a low ownership percentage, once again, if that's why you're wanting to make the play here and you're trying to get on an island, I'm absolutely in favor of it. But just know, like Adrian said, that statistics aren't necessarily on your side. But you're not going to find that good of equipment at that cheap of a price with that capabilities, in my opinion. Liehr, who do you got for us for some value, buddy?
Well,
For some going to the garage.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
going to garage. Jeez, I messed that up.
it happens, man. Getting close to the end of the show, but I'm going to be rolling with the number 41 Stuart Haas, Kurt Busch. Kurt has a semi-decent week last week, even though he went to the back of the field due to body modifications on his vehicle, which I was really upset when I saw that somebody had posted that on Twitter. I was like, you got to be kidding me, because I had a lot of exposure to Kurt Busch last week, but this week, he's the highest costing driver at 10,400. Kurt hasn't scored more than 50 fantasy points since he won the Exalta We Paint Winners 400, which was the first Pocono race where he scored 65 points. He's got 15 starts here, 3 top 5s, 7 top 10s. He's led 62 laps in his career here with an average start of 12th and an average finish of 18th. In the first practice today, he was 9th. And in the second practice, he was 17th. So he'll probably qualify in between there somewhere, maybe even a little higher. I would assume probably between 6 and 12, somewhere in there. But don't look for him to move up much and lead very many laps. And I just don't think that he's going to have the equipment and everything to get it done this week. And at his cost, I mean, he's just not going to pay off for you, being the most expensive driver. And that's just not going to happen at the Glen. So I am totally staying away from the Kurt Busch play this weekend.
Yeah, unless there is something that goes really wrong with qualifying, and he qualifies way, way down, there's just almost zero ways he can pay off his salary this weekend with his track history here. Plus, when you start building lineups this weekend, he's not worth the opportunity cost, right? Not only, like, do I have to trade off on a driver that I like better, but that extra bit of money that he costs over a lot of the guys I like more, like, doesn't allow me to build, like, guys I want around him. And I'm sorry, if Kurt gets it done this weekend, it's going to be a bad weekend for the Poppa. Like, that's just a stand I'm taking. Adrian?
I haven't played Kurt Busch all year when he was under 9K. There is absolutely no way that I'm going to play Kurt Busch over 10K. DraftKings is out of their mind. I know Kurt Busch is a good road course driver, guys, but there's not even enough laps in this race for him to make up his salary. I mean, there's only 90 laps. What is he going to do? Come from where he's going to be starting probably 11th on the first lap and lead all 90. That's about what he's going to have to do. I don't like the play. I don't think he's going to be fast. I think Kyle Busch can pay off his salary because of the fastest laps and leading laps. I just don't see it for Kurt Busch. I think his teammate Kevin Harvick has a better chance than him. I think Kurt Busch is actually going to be the third highest out of the Stewart Haas cars, only finishing ahead of him. I don't know. Kurt Busch, he likes Watkins Glen, and he's had some success here. But I'm just not really seeing it for him this weekend, especially this price tag. And like you said, I can't fit, Brad Keselowski and Chase Elliott and all these other guys I'm wanting to fit if I put, 10, whatever, over 10,000 on Kurt Busch. There's just no way.
Yeah, I agree. And I just, yeah. He's too expensive. All right, now we're going to get to the shock part of the show, and I'm going to do straight up from a fantasy perspective why we're sending this guy to the garage. Why I specifically am. I'm sending AJ Allmendinger to the garage at 9,900. I know he's a road course driver. I know he specializes at these tracks, and that's exactly why I'm off of him. At 9,900, I don't see any way he can pay off his price tag unless he literally does something he has never done here, which would have to be qualifying at the top, leading the laps, and also winning the race. He's never done that. Look, I'm banking on him over qualifying like he's consistently done here. In his last 4 starts, 3 times he's qualified in the top 4, and all 3 times he's fallen backwards. The only time that everybody touts is the time he had the win when he qualified 6th. Look, that would have paid off his $9,900 salary. But the other 3 times he goes negative, and that will punish you. I'm going to say a guy that 75% of the time doesn't pay off is a guy that you don't want to be on, especially at the clip that you're going to see him owned at this week. When for some reason at road courses, Allmendinger goes way high on the ownership percentage, and if he qualifies like I think he will, in the top 3 to 5, you don't want to be on him this week. He's going to be 40 to 50% owned if he does that, and people are just, like, I've already heard the touts talking about him and how good of a road course driver he is, and guys, like, he's good, but let's make something perfectly clear. He's not Kyle Busch, even if we just tracked it down onto road courses. He doesn't have that kind of ability here, and he doesn't have the Martin Truex kind of ability here to just dominate races. That's not who he is as a driver, even though he's a good driver. In order for him to pay off that salary and to pay off at the ownership percentage that the touts and everybody across the industry is trying to get on for him, like, he has to be those guys, and I just don't think he has it in him. Adrian?
I think your analysis is spot on, Poppa. And one thing that I was really excited to mention here, I want to talk a little bit about AJ Allmendinger if I can. AJ Allmendinger and this team idolizes how much pressure is on this team this weekend. This is the most important weekend they've had this entire season. And this is probably one of the most important races of AJ Allmendinger's career. I know he signed that extension and everything, but this is his last chance to make the chase this year, guys. He's not going to go out on an oval and win the race. This is his last chance, and if he messes up even once, it's going to hurt his chances to win this race. We've seen over the past, if AJ Allmendinger has one mistake, he implodes, and he goes on a mental breakdown, and he stops believing in his team, and he starts blaming it on everybody else but himself, and he starts blaming it on the cars, and he starts blaming it on the equipment, and he gives up on himself. As Christian, is trying to motivate him and everything. But I just believe that the amount of pressure that's on AJ Allmendinger this weekend is just too much for him to handle. And I know AJ can handle some pressure, but guys, this is it for this race team. They put everything into this race. That car will probably be fast. It probably will qualify in the top 5. I hope his ownership is above 40%. With the 2017, with the JTG Daughtry Racing team, they're all in this weekend. This is their last chance to put their car into the chase. And I just think that the pressure might be too big for AJ Allmendinger. I think he might make a bad pit stop, or maybe the caution doesn't fall right, and he just won't be the same. I'm just not paying this much for that guy.
No, I'm right there with you guys. I was seriously contemplating about making him my go into the garage, but I mean, he's just one of those guys where everybody knows, everybody that watches NASCAR that doesn't even play fantasy, and everybody that plays fantasy knows that AJ Allmendinger, that's his forte. He is a road course specialist. And the guy just, I don't know if you've seen him in the last couple of weeks where they're doing interviews with him about, their qualifying times and all this. I mean, the guy just immediately becomes a negative Nancy, and
he gave up after Pocono.
Yes, this is like
after qualifying at Pocono, he gave up. He's like, I don't know what we have.
Yeah, he just blames everything on his team, doesn't accept responsibility for himself, and step up like a man, and try to do something. Yet he tries to put the blame on everybody else, and that's what's it's going to take in this race. Is like you said, there's going to be tons and tons of pressure on this guy to take it home this week. Specifically, this is their last chance to do it. And, I think a lot of fantasy owners are going to know that too. And I think people are going to play him because they really do think that, depending on where he qualifies, if 1, 2, yeah, he's probably going to get up there and maybe even lead a few laps. I mean, even when he won, he only led 29 laps and he started from the 6th position. But,
Still a fast race.
Right. But I mean, basically, guys, always costing $10,000. This isn't the AJ Allmendinger of 7,200 or 7,400. This is 9,900. This is almost 10,000.
Yeah.
So this is a main staple in your lineups this week. So, and it's all it's going to take is just that one little screw up, something to happen on a pit stop, or something happens just randomly, because this is NASCAR. Anything can happen. He loses his mind, and he totally loses focus, and just can't concentrate and get his head back in the game. So I am right there with you guys. I am kind of totally off the AJ Allmendinger play this week, because I think he's probably going to be like 50% owned.
Guys, and I got a little giddy with that, and I forgot to include like the actual analysis that I wanted to provide. And this is during happy hour. He was going through a lap. His car started smoking. Right, they had to come into the pits. They actually they broke an oil line. Right, like Dinger then claimed that he got the car shut down quick enough that there was no damage done to that car, but they're not swapping out the engines. They were just replacing the oil line. Now, if there's any possible damage to that car, it's just going to keep over qualifying over the next, right? And about 15 laps into that race, that could be what breaks on this car. Like, now, this is all conjecture on my part, but you're telling me to take a guy that underperforms statistically for his price and has a possible equipment malfunction? No, thank you at all. Like, I just think it's an easy fade, and that's why I'm off of him this week. So, guys, that wraps up the going to the garage segment. I tried to call it the value segment again, man. I must be distracted by all these beautiful Olympic athletes like parading in the arena, like in the background. Guys, now it's time for the segment of our show where we put together a lineup that will actually be in the lug nut this week. You can compete against this lineup. The purpose of us doing this is to go through the thought process and show you how you should be thinking, or possible different ways of thinking while building a NASCAR DFS lineup. Let's go ahead and start doing that. Guys, who Adrian wasn't here last week, so Adrian, who's the first guy we need to throw on this lineup? Are you gonna tell us to do Mr. Snickers himself?
Oh wow, I get the first pick.
Yeah.
I get the first pick. I'm going to tell you to pick Chase Elliott.
Elliott with the first pick. All right.
I know that I said Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski, but I really want to hammer it home that I'm telling people this is the week to play Chase Elliott.
Okay, I get you. All right, Liehr, where do you want to go? I mean, Chase Elliott is at the base salary point, so you still have base salary left.
Yeah. I'm going to go with my value guy, too. I'm sorry, my burning rubber guy. I'm going to go with Kyle Larson.
You're going to go with Larson.
Awesome.
At 82. Yeah, and that puts us at 83.75. I'm going to spend a little bit. Dude, I'm going to spend a little bit more money, guys, and I'm going to say we lock in Truex at 8,900.
I'm fine with that.
And you're still hovering right around base salary at 82. So, Adrian, where do we go now?
Let me get a little bit of Kyle Busch on there. Let's spend some money.
All right.
Can we fit him?
Oh,
Can we fit him?
I think we can easily fit him. And this is something we didn't mention under the Allmendinger thing. Is, guys, like, I can literally pay $200 more and get way better equipment and a way better driver in Kyle Busch. It blows my mind that Allmendinger's $200 difference. Like, that's just crazy to me. All right, guys, we are left with $72.50, and we have 2 spots left. Liehr, which direction you want to go in, bud?
I like to put Borset on there.
I really wish that we had the camera on to see.
I love Borset, but that scared me.
I really wanted to see our reactions. I really wish the audience could have seen that instead of this screenshot. All right, good one. All right, Liehr.
You should have seen my eyes when you said that.
I mean,
don't play Borset.
I think we go ahead and put put Casey Mears on there.
Put Casey Mears on here?
I love that. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was going to suggest that too.
All right. I mean, his ownership will be so low. Like,
Yeah, well, he was 5% owned last week.
That leaves us 7,900, and that puts us in the range of Jamie Mack, Boyer, Biffle, Kane, Menard, Dillon, Newman, Blaney, Stenhouse, Buscher, Almirola. Dude, honestly, guys, like, this is why I don't care for the Mears play, is because it doesn't give me enough money to get up where I want, and where I want it. Like, I have enough. Like, the guys that I'm more comfortable with, I have tons of money left over.
Yeah. I think that, honestly, for me and my lineups that I've made so far, Trevor Bayne and Casey Mears are interchangeable. It doesn't save you a lot more money, but it does save you a little bit. We've noticed that Michael McDowell has had a lot of speed this weekend. He's probably going to overqualify. Who really knows what that equipment will do? But maybe watch out for that a little bit.
Yeah, I will say this, guys. If Michael McDowell doesn't overqualify, like, buy him as value, like, this week. Another guy.
What about our race winner last week, Chris Buescher?
If you're expecting a repeat.
It's funny. Chris Buescher got on a plane right after he won the race on Tuesday because he flew to Arizona to go to road course school. So he's been at road course school all week, and then he flew to New York to race this weekend.
Wow.
Because he's trying to get better so he can make the chase.
Yeah, and here's the other part, though, is he is $1,100 more than what he cost last week. So DraftKings gave him the boost.
I think that his ownership's also going to get the boost because people are going to try a point chase because they don't know.
Right, they don't understand what actually happened.
Yeah.
Yep. People are going to point chase.
I mean, the real problem for me, like, I don't know, where are we going to go with this lineup? Like,
well, then take Mears off and
we
put
can go
somebody else on there.
We go Mears Blaney.
I like Ryan Blaney. I'll be honest, Ryan Newman finished 8th at Sonoma earlier this year. Ryan Newman's still trying to, point his way into the chase and, secure that gap, barring who could randomly win, say Kyle Larson or Chase Elliott goes out and wins this weekend. It's good Newman to have a good run, and he's inside that top 16. So Newman's actually someone I'm looking at, and that would leave some money on the table. He's got a lot of experience of, keeping the car together.
Yeah, no, actually that's a solid lineup, and you guys will be able to see that in the 5K lug nut, in the 20K lug nut, the $5 contest. Just go over it one more time. That's Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, Casey Mears, with Ryan Newman rounding it out, and we left $800 on the table. Everybody comfortable with rolling that one?
Sounds good, man.
All right. So with that said, guys, we wrap up another week of the Rubbin' Is Racing Daily Fantasy NASCAR show. Let everybody say their goodbyes and get out of here. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in.
Yeah, guys, sorry I missed last week. I was watching some Atlanta Braves baseball. Glad to be back this weekend. Look forward to road course racing. It's my favorite kind of NASCAR racing. Should be very, very exciting. Hopefully the rain stays away and we can race under a dry track because I think that'll be more beneficial to Trevor Bayne. Just want to say good luck to Trevor running double duty this weekend. Thanks for everybody for watching, and I hope you guys win a lot of money.
Thank you guys for watching. We are back to an hour this week with all three of us back, but good to have everybody back this week. It was a little crazy doing the show, me and Poppa, like old school. We forgot to mention it last week, but that's how we started the old Rubbin' Is Racing Daily Fantasy NASCAR show. But thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for the comments. Like, share, with your friends. Hit us up on YouTube. And Karl Marx, I am waiting for my statue for the Chris Buescher call plate. Thank you very much. I would love to see a picture.
Yeah, I mean, the dude did say he was going to create a statue in your honor, Liehr, off of your Dynamite recommendation last week. Guys, thanks again for tuning in. We know you spend your precious time with us, and we appreciate that. Hopefully it's because we're helping you make money, and we're sharing that love of NASCAR and daily fantasy with you. Like I usually say to end the show, hopefully we're all making a lot of money, but hopefully I make more money than you guys. Have a good one, guys. Peace out.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thanks, guys.